Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Bringing you now Victor Allen's New Sports, written, directed, and produced by the bald-headed black man. That's him, Victor Allen, our resident sports guru. And here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the man that the ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. That's right. Here he is, the bald-headed black man. Here's Vic! Yeah!
Oh,
There he is!
That's a lot of extra, man.
Yeah, well, you know, we try.
That's too much extra. All right, you guys. Hey, welcome to New Sports. There's only one subject you're going to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about the Monday Night Football game because Chicago and Green Bay had their second-string quarterbacks because of health issues, and Aaron Rodgers, of course, having that fractured shoulder, being out for a few weeks. So, I mean, it was...
Fractured clavicle.
Well, in general, you're right. In specific, you're absolutely
shoulder,
right.
he'd be out for the rest of the year.
Well, that's what their fear was, is that he would be out. So, obviously, they're looking at 3 to 4 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. But still...
Clavicle might even be a little faster sometimes.
Well, but here's the thing. Can you afford to be away for 3 or 4 weeks? Because you get behind, it's hard to catch up.
Yeah, you're right.
So, hey, look, let me say this all day long. When you're talking about bullying, since yesterday, and we did know and hear about things about a wonderful incognito representative of the Miami Dolphins franchise and organization. We do now know, it's confirmed, the racial slurs and, of course, the abuse and the threats.
I'll kill you. He said, I'll kill you.
Right. We now know.
Now you get into...
Yeah, yes.
See, I'm waiting to see when the law steps in.
You know what? And here's the part. There is no really guesswork here. It's very simple. You know, we have two people who basically everybody's saying, let's side on the side of caution, which I agree with. You have to. And we're ripping the organization to a certain degree. So I believe the Miami Dolphins are already demonstrating the two-step. You know, the one step forward and one step backwards, or then forwards. So right offhand, somebody's going to be served up. So the first thing I start thinking about is the coach has to come out and show leadership by saying, I wasn't a leader. Do you accept that so far, Mark?
Totally, and he ain't coming off like that. In fact, it looks bad when you show the first video of his press conference saying that, we've heard no complaints. Jonathan said no complaints about anything going on about the organization. So obviously they're lying. They were lying.
Right. So let me say this. We got that part there. We're cool on that. We know that. Will the general manager be served up?
Oh, totally. A bunch of people got to take the heat for this, just like if it was Exxon or, Xerox or, LA Times, any company.
Right.
You're going to have to deal with the fact that you've allowed this. Well, here's the thing. You always sue what they call the deep pocket. In other words, you sue the person with the most money to pay.
Okay. All right.
So that's going to be the team.
Right.
And then ultimately the NFL steps in to do what they want.
Right.
Because they don't want to be sued also. Because you could sue the whole NFL.
True. And I understand everybody's rallying around to protect themselves from liabilities. We got that. And my perspective on this is that it's a culture change is another issue versus protecting versus liability, because I'm pretty sure they fear that Martin and his people and representatives are going to say, we want to be compensated for what is happening. We know that's happening in the backstory, so we're not going to get into the legalese of that because it's going to come when it's going to come. What I'm going to get into is looking at incognito as it relates to the bully pulpit. When I say the bully pulpit, I don't mean that it's a bunch of bullies. What I'm trying to say is, far as many football players are concerned, they're going to choose to me a side where they say, let's see if you man up or you man out. I have some categories here, Mario. I'm just going to say them briefly just to let you know what they are. That far as the players who actually are going to be interviewed, they're going to say the right thing. They're not going to say the wrong thing because they're going to be politically correct. But as it relates to what happens in that locker room, I'm trying to find out, is incognito tough, a badass, leader, preferred asshole, or a player? Now, he can be all of those things. But as it relates to the locker room, not the coaches, not the assistants or the general managers or the ownership, as far as his peers, do you think they will probably say, look, in silence, you're going to hear me say, hey, look, I wouldn't do that? But in the end, when they say, if I need a teammate on my team that's going to go down in the trenches, are they going to pick Jonathan Martin or are they going to pick Incognito?
Well, that goes to show you, I don't know what that would be a testimony toward other than the fact that you have a bunch of athletes who have no clue. Okay.
True.
That's what that would actually be a testimony to.
Right.
That they have no clue. And unfortunately, many of them attempt to live their personal lives by the way the field is,
True.
which leads to incarcerations.
Right.
And domestic problems of all kinds.
Right.
So that's part of it. I think that he probably is tough, a badass, a leader, he's probably all those things. That doesn't mean that you can't fall.
Right. And we're not
To me. So I think obviously you have players, like all the ones who got up from that table.
Right.
When he got up,
I know.
then they're going to be suspect
Complicit to it.
And they also pointed out that Incognito, depending on whose poll you were looking at, was rated the number 2 dirtiest player.
Yes.
I guess Ndamukong Suh is still considered to be number 1.
Of course.
But Incognito is considered the number 2 dirtiest player
right.
in the NFL. By the way, PMC wants you to know that the unedited voicemail is available online.
Oh, okay, good. I'm not really shocked about, and thank you, PMC, for that. I'm not really going to be shocked about any other information I hear about him because it's, the stuff has been said. Nobody's rebelling against it. What everybody's trying to find out is that when you actually have examples where a person is leading what they call a culture of what they call impact, and the impact is to turn around and get him to comply with whatever is being dictated towards him. We're looking at how far it reaches. So we already know the leadership is not there, and we already know that he's what he is. See, the part I'm looking at is that when the players say, "Hey, look, here's what stays in the room," and all the coaches are talking about this. Herman Edwards, all of them, they said, all those players know what's going on in the conversation in that room. They all know it. So let's just say they're not complicit as much as they just participated in the hey, get up and walk out when he comes in. How bad is that? That's not a bad thing. It's what was all gathering over a period of time. So let's just say right offhand that they don't feel the same way as Incognito. But if on the surface, if they said, the kind of player I want, will Jonathan Martin be welcomed in any other locker room as a badass or as insensitive or as too sensitive? Which one? He's not insensitive. He's going to be too sensitive, right? What do you think?
I don't know if you're saying does it gain him respect. I don't know that it does. They come from a world where respect is gained through physical conflict.
Right.
So, some folks would just respect him more if he just walked up to Incognito and clocked him.
Right. Everybody's saying.
In the world I come from, that's what you did.
Right.
And if they were bigger than you, then you fought dirty.
Right.
In other words, you sneak up behind him and kick him in his nuts. Once he's on the ground, now you could have a conversation.
Got you.
Okay.
In
other words, when they big, they fall, but
right.
you just have to get you an equalizer.
Right, and it's going to lead to another question that follows up right what you just said, Mario. Mm-hmm. But before I get there, let me go over to what I call the step that has taken place as it relates to the Miami Dolphins, and we'll come back to that in a moment. To me, it's not an NFL shocker, but I made it a shocker to be a pun. The NFL shocker is that Miami Dolphins coach Joe Philbin took the blame for the environment that was created in his locker room, which forced Martin to leave the team last week following a lunchroom incident. Now, Philbin became somewhat emotional on Monday while addressing the media. Now, Mario.
Pussy.
Ball shot.
What? I was talking about my cat came in the room.
You know what?
My kitty cat.
Stop.
Hi there, Samantha.
I apologize for that outburst on behalf of Mario. He doesn't know that this man has a family and all this stuff. He's already
okay. They know. I'm sure they know.
Okay.
I'm sure your wife knows what kind of man you are.
Okay.
And your children too.
All right. Let me say this. Okay.
If you good, you good. If you ain't, well, this one you were weak.
Okay.
And typical.
He's been served up because somebody actually says you have to go out there. There's no choice.
Oh,
right?
yeah, because again, it's not a game. Now it's money. Now it's the DA can bring charges. All of this is serious.
I feel you. So we already know this is the part. Whether he wanted to or not, he had to. Number 2, he's been indicted as a lack of leadership on the team. Number 3, the thing he never thought of. Just think about it. Over about a year ago, everybody was tripping about Chad Johnson, about the element of what he brings when he was trying to make the team on Miami, coming shortly from the New England Patriots. You wish you had Chad Johnson and his issues back, don't you?
Well, certainly less than this. Hey, Vic, and Aaron Hernandez really plays big in this too, into the conscience, because now you've had not just him, you've had other NFL players accused of crimes of violence.
Right.
Aaron Hernandez could go to death penalty or something.
Yes, he can.
So again, people take this seriously because now you have incidents where it gets out of hand.
True. So it gets to this part where I'm asking, where there's 3 people on part of the organization, and I believe already Jonathan Martin is done. They're already saying incognito is done. Will this be the last year for Coach Joe Philbin? And
no.
And, okay, the second part of this.
No, it's the shot across the bow for all the other coaches,
right,
and organizations.
Will Miami make it into the playoffs?
Yeah, they're going to make it to the playoffs.
So this will not disrupt anything because they're about a 500 team right now.
I don't think it's going to listen. If it hadn't disrupted it already,
right.
I think now looking back at how they've done this season, makes it look like they've actually done better because they had to have this going on somewhere.
Right. Now, I have a couple of other questions before I get to the last segment of our New Sports. We're only going to talk about this bullying because there's going to be a lot that's going to happen. Either they're going to be good enough to say or smart enough to say a lot of people did not comply by leaving what they call a trail of evidence. When they don't get a trail of evidence, that means the culture will continue. Now, they'll get involved in the laws and the rules and everything. I understand that. That's going to come. It's a reactionary position. But I already asked, will the buck stop at the coach? Well, we already addressed that. I think the general manager is at a point because he makes the decisions of who he wants to put in power, right?
Yeah, if it was a different industry, Vic, it would be different. It's because it's football and you have a culture that you're coming against.
Right.
You have a lot of other teams and situations. And let me tell you who's probably even more scared.
Who's that?
A bunch of the college teams.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Because they are held in even stricter, right?
That's right, they
stricter.
are.
So in college teams there's some stuff that goes on too. So no, I think that there won't be. This will just be the big warning.
Right.
It's the next folks,
right,
who will get slam dunked. Okay.
The residual effect is going to hit people harder who haven't adopted to the change that's
from
coming.
now on. This will be the one because I think it's still too much of that culture in the NFL. Like PMC says, that this whole incident will be part of the prepping of rookies because what you do as an organization is institute protocol.
Right.
They will train the rookies.
Right.
They will show a film and sit them there for 2 hours and say, this is what you don't do.
Right.
This is what you never do. This will get you fired.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, and that's what's going to happen.
Now, still, it comes back to the same thing. Culture change. Look, let's just say this. If everybody doesn't know this, they know it now. If it wasn't for Jonathan Martin taking a stand, basically the culture of the locker room was going with really no strong guidelines to direct it and to say this is not how far you go. It was organization to organization. So let's say, did Jonathan Martin do a favor in the long term for having a more positive and more focused football organization in his locker room and throughout onto the field, or did he bring in more harm?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
And the other thing is, let me say this. We don't know that Jonathan Martin is at all afraid of him.
Right.
Because to me, let me just give you an example. We haven't heard from him, mainly which is wise legally.
Right.
Imagine this. What if Jonathan Martin says, I left because if I stayed, I would have killed him?
That's a possibility now.
Okay, now, so one would argue that maybe Jonathan Martin showed the best self-control. We don't know what his motivation was. There's nothing to say he left out of fear.
Right.
He may have left out of disgust.
Right.
For the people that he's with and said, I don't need to be part of this. Watch me make this into an incident. I'm about to affect your money. So he could have just been smart enough to know he was about to affect their money.
Now, here's the other part. Now, you're leading into my part 3 of this segment, which is, man, I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just saying this. It's his 3rd year, and I stand corrected because I thought yesterday when I mentioned that it was his 2nd year. It's his 3rd year. He's not been a rookie for 2 years. The question I have is this. There's always been a precedent where people go, if we get you to go that far, we will take you that far. We know this. So
on the playground.
Right, not, but still, we don't know that because in the locker room, we don't know how far people have taken. And they've admitted that people have paid 5 figures when they were being, and it's not hazed. The wrong term they're using for this is not hazing. What's happened with Jonathan Martin? They are correcting that term. They're saying the hazing part is like tying people up with tape, going to get some donuts or go pay my bill, or it's something
They're
simple.
using words like extortion,
right,
because of the amounts of money. And again, this makes the legal opening. Remember,
true.
All this stuff. In a minute, it's not a coach's affair. The DA has to be looking at this.
Right, and I understand what they're doing because he crossed the line. It is illegal. We got that. The ramifications I got, but the part I still have questions with. I'm just saying this, Mario. I know you, and I know some other people. I just don't see somebody going like, I'm gonna tolerate this for not only a year, but even longer.
Oh, I think what happens is that it'll be just part of the whole football change, Vic. Toughness and all that is really a bunch of crap. It's a game. It's an entertainment sport. And so the game has to change for those same reasons. So if you're a player out there who prides themselves in tearing someone's heads off and all that, guess what? There'll be no place for you in the NFL. You need to learn how to do arm tackles. They're going to teach people now how to hit with their arms in front and extend them back.
Right.
So this whole toughness, you don't need to be tough really to play football. It's a myth of the past.
No, I understand that
and
part.
I think that's what you're going to see changing.
PMC, you're saying the same. So you are asking, is he allowed this to go this far but tipped over the edge? See, my part was this. The people I know go like this. You get to a certain point, you don't bring that to me. It's a certain tipping point. There's a tolerance level that you go through, and I know a lot of players go, you're not getting that far with me. And the other part.
But you can't even have that, because imagine this. Imagine that the players don't tolerate it and get into a fight.
Right. Now, see, I'm not saying
liable.
They're going to solve it. A lot of times,
but you know who would be liable?
Who would be liable?
The team and the NFL.
That's right.
Whether they solved it or not. It's like you letting employees at your job fight. Right. You can't do that without being liable.
But see, I'm not dealing with that. What I'm dealing with is his mind state. Because to me, I'm saying this, and nobody wants to hear this. Everybody that they recruit for the NFL knows how to play in the NFL. That's not true. Every time you draft somebody doesn't mean they have the mentality to play in the NFL.
Right.
I don't think he has the mental capability of dealing with the culture as a football player when everybody knows.
He may not.
Wait a minute, hold on. When you get to a certain point, you go like, did you take it up the chain? No. What did you do? You tolerated it for so long. I'm not saying he's the bad guy. I'm saying he tolerated.
Right.
He hung on a long time, Mark.
Right.
That's the only thing I find with him that's a concern with me. I said, why would you go through this for so long?
No, but the point being, it doesn't make any difference.
No, I understand. We're talking about the nature of it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is whether it ultimately becomes one of those things that you actually are not even allowed to consider.
Right, but should he have done something different or approached or addressed?
You could say that yes, you could say that, but again, it doesn't make any difference. I don't know that he could have, because again, like I said, had he struck back, let's say he got into a fight.
No, just addressing it, bringing it up the chain, just information.
But again, I don't know what was done. Remember, you're hearing reports that are contradictory.
Right, and then my whole point is this. I'm only going by the information they said, that this has been going on for so long. I said, okay, wait a minute. I understand what they cannot do. I'm trying to figure out, why did he say, I am not going to do anything?
It'll be handled the same way as when they question a black employee about why did he complain earlier at Xerox.
Right.
It actually becomes sort of irrelevant. What he'll say is that he didn't complain because the culture and the climate was such that it didn't. And since that is the typical part of those complaints,
it's the culture.
It won't go. It won't. In other words, it's interesting, but it won't apply to anything because that's typical for every bullying situation. They say, right? And then and then the defense is always that the authorities were uninvolved, and not caring.
I understand that, but I know you as a person. If somebody sat there and said Mario plays football, I say, you ask me, will Mario sit there and sit?
No, but I'm stupid. I might have to say, you know what? I'm different.
No,
see, because I didn't. No, because I'm not advocating you. See, I'm one of those people who would have been waiting for him in the dark with the bat.
Right.
So that's not what I'm advising, because I have to have people calm me down. I'm not a pacifist.
Right. No, all
I
I'm
have
saying,
to go chant because I would have had a gun and said, you know what? There's an equalizer. That's why NFL players don't scare me.
Right.
Because I got an equalizer. It's called gun.
Right. See, I know the I know the second part of it. There are options to following up. I'm just saying he had more than just his option of what he's done. As I say, closed mouth don't get fed.
You don't know that. In other words, that's what I'm saying. You could assume that just like when they say to a black person at a company, why didn't you complain to human resources?
Well, he said he sent his letter in.
But that's what I'm saying. So, but it ends up not being. It's interesting to consider, but since we have no way of knowing
until all the facts come out.
Like I said, we assume he did stuff out of weakness. Well, what I'm starting to see is that it may not be part of that at all. It may be part of being smart.
It very much so. And if there's a trail of information and that's trackable, we're going to learn about it, and we just don't know. Let
me put it to you like this: if you wanted to get the best bang for the buck, you would do what he did almost.
Oh no, I agree with it.
Because
I agree with his action.
He actually ended up doing, in a way, making sure
that he's
certain things. Yeah, and not only that, he still has. What I like about all of this is that the civil liabilities are huge, and he could actually take incognito.
That's exactly.
So you could bankrupt cats like that.
See,
you could say, "I'm going to take all your money."
Well, that's
incognito.
why the Miami Dolphins and everybody are taking they're holding their ground right now to prepare for the lawsuits. That's what they're doing. And the everyday person is going to go. It's like Stephen A. Smith said. He said, "I know me what I would have done," which is not the
which may have gotten us in jail.
Right.
Just imagine this happens all the time. Because this is when you imagine you go fight him and he gets a head injury.
Right.
You're in jail now.
Right.
You're in jail trying to prove that you were provoked.
Right. And
so I'm saying I too am violent in these situations. That ain't wise. That's why you need friends around you to say, be cool, chill, and don't go shoot him in the knee.
And here's the other part. And I agree with you, PMC. I'm not dealing with the legal part. That's going to take care of itself. What I'm saying is people are pretending like they don't have scuffles and fights and everything and confrontations in locker rooms. It happens all the time. All the players say this happens all the time. I said, so the part I'm saying is, if he's building up a case, I said, you got it. Smart man. But at the same time, I'm going, so when is when? You want to lose your money first? So you gave your money away first to set the precedent. That, to me, is kind of weird.
He obviously made mistakes or gave in, but it just doesn't make any difference. It just adds to the case. Right. It's one thing you could throw at him, but, I mean, so what?
Yeah, hey, look. Harassment.
I mean, so what? All it proves is that they got away with it, and still the question becomes, so what?
I know. The part that I keep getting, I think you could have got away with it without giving away your money. That's all I'm saying.
If he had been stronger and had he not, but that's like telling a bully, someone who's being bullied, if you had clocked him in the nuts, you probably wouldn't have to. It's easier said than done, and ultimately the answer is, so what?
It's like somebody told me before. He says, Victor, because you went through this before. He said, when the 10 guys, and not the story I told earlier, they're all hitting you. You can curl up all you want to, but you better hit back because the same results can happen. So to me, all I'm saying is I understand it's that moment when you go like, I have nothing else but what I have. I agree with him being smart in what he's done. I only question one or two things. Not to say he was wrong. I just said I think you could have got the results you did without giving away your money. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he could have just went public earlier. Yeah. It's just okay, but so what?
I know. I got you. I'm just saying. It's options on the table. My last exit story is not anything to display. I just want to give you guys props on following the Clippers Nation. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when you do follow the Clipper Nation, you know the Lakers are taking second fiddle. Now, you may not think that right now, but, they put a beat down on Houston, who was undefeated yesterday. Coming back to the Staples Center, Dwight Howard, and you talking about running them out of the house. You're talking about 140 points they scored. This team is coming. I don't think they're championship worthy yet. But Doc is looking good. Doc is doing a wonderful job, and
Chris
you can
Paul
see it.
Is on fire.
Yeah,
and he got Blake in them and running and everything.
Dude, even if they make it to the Western Conference Finals, I'll be happy if they make it there because I'm not saying they're going to actually win the NBA championship. But if he gets them to the Western Conference Finals and they're young, They're coming.
I said they were a contender just by getting Doc Rivers.
Yeah, you're right.
That was the missing ingredient.
Oh.
Now remember what I also said, Vic. I also said, watch out for the Lakers to look decent. I told you that. I said if you get the people to run D'Antoni's offense, I told you. I said they're going to get guys that are not the stars. They're going to run D'Antoni's offense.
Right.
I said watch the Lakers look better. I told you that.
No,
I think that's what's happening.
I still think they're going to finish under 500. I just don't see it happening. I see that they're going to do that first half where people are going to not take them serious because they don't fear anybody. So they'll win like they barely won in overtime basically against the Atlanta Hawks yesterday at the Staples Center. And Atlanta is a bottom dweller. No disrespect, but you guys are not really in the top tier yet, but maybe yet to be determined. And I'm only saying the first half of the season is going to be their best half because people tend to cruise a little bit, and that's when the Lakers will make their mark. That second half.
No one's saying they're a playoff team. I'm just saying they're not going to be the laughing stock that people thought they were going to be. That they were going to be probably, I said, a solid team that is just not a real contender. But I said they're going to be a solid team. I said they're not going to look terrible. I never thought they were. I said get D'Antoni the people that he wants to run his offense, and they'll be more than respectable.
Right, they're a young team. They're in the same. The team you should feel for in PMC. I see you. I see what you say. You say you don't care about the Lakers. I just was doing a comparison, but I'm going to say this.
How about Miami losing, you guys?
Well, Miami.
No one says anything that they've lost.
Yeah, it's too soon. It's too soon.
Okay, but who's rooting for the Sixers?
I like the new player on that. I like him. I do. But you know what the problem is? Bynum even admitting that he will not be who he used to be because of the surgery.
He looks kind of tentative. Everybody's still scared of his leg getting hurt.
Yeah, he's even saying, hey, look, I don't think I'm going to ever go back to where I was. Something like Amari Stoudemire over at New York. I watched the Bulls. I watched the Nets.
It's good to watch.
But I do feel sorry for Boston, but they're taking the hit the way they're supposed to because they're winless right now.
I don't feel sorry.
So I do it. That's all. So I do like what I'm seeing right now. That's so cool. That's wrong, man. Why you want to be like that? All right. So
but I said, remember, I think the Lakers are going to be respectable. But you know what? Let's all get behind the Clippers.
Dude, you know what I like? I like when teams are entertaining. I really do. I just like them when they're entertaining. And the Lakers look entertaining by running, something we haven't had in a long time out here in L.A. But still, is it enough? And yeah, you're right. They're going to be respectable. They won't be bottom dwellers.
No.
What you're saying is they'll be better than Boston.
Yeah, I think they'll be solid mid-level team. Okay. But that's about it. That's solid mid, right in the mid.
Right.
But that's it.
All right, you guys, that was my subject for today. The bullying carries on. We may get an update tomorrow. If not, we'll take care of the latest update in the football arena because it seems like right now the NFL is suffering through they're just trying to stay in the lane of attrition.
Dude,
there's so many injuries.
Change.
And when I say change, with all the extra protection, it seems like more injuries are occurring because people are trying. Yes, they're trying to adjust, and it's probably hurting them. So it's going to take a couple of years before people get used to this. All right, man, I'm out. Take me out of this sports segment so we can get over to the fabulous women.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's Victor Allen's New Sports, brought to you by Victor Allen, written, directed by the bald-headed black man. You hear how we do it. It's that unique neo-urban look at sports. That's right, New Sports is a recurring segment of the Morning Coffee with Mario show. It's there live Monday through Wednesdays every week. Peace.